Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Journey. Today we're going to work on this shelf. This is a shelf that I made out of crate wood. You can watch my other video. We'll put the link up here. And you could see how I made that. But if you notice in that video, you could see the mistake I made too. And what is that? Well, look at this thing. It's uneven. I was doing some quick measurements. And I end up putting this center point, this center part, about an inch too far to one side. It's a somewhat easy fix. All we're going to do is go through and unscrew it, cut it off, and then place this back in here, and then screw it back together. So we'll make up that inch. We'll just make it a little bit shorter, make it look good. But then the other problem that I have, I could never mount it on the wall because two reasons. One, I couldn't stand putting something that was not made right up on the wall. Just couldn't do it. And then my second thing was that I needed a way to actually mount it. And what I wanted to do was actually make it like, I don't know, I forgot what they call them. I wanted to make it to where it just mounted to the wall like this, but it was completely structurally sound and wasn't going to come off the wall. Because it's a shelf. I mean, there's a lot of weight you could end up putting on here, and I don't want it ever being a safety issue. So the other thing I'm going to do is make some, I guess they're called like keyhole brackets, to go on this so that it can be mounted to the wall. You don't ever see any of the hangers or anything like that, and it'll be safe and secure so that we can put just about whatever we want to put on it. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. Let's see how we're going to do it. So, let's get our measurements. I got pretty much 34 inches. It's maybe a 16th shy of 34 inches, but that 16th is not going to matter much. So 34 inches. Half of that, what do we have? 15 and 2, so 17 inches. 17 inches should be right here. As you can see, we are off by an inch. I think I've got it at 16 inches for the center. If I just move this, I would end up with screw holes that are showing and everything else. Plus I've already glued this in here, so that would be breaking it free. So the easiest or best way anyway to do this so it still looks nice is to actually take off the extra from the end. That way we get rid of the screw holes that we're going to have, and we just move this move this side piece in just a little bit. So that's the way we're going to do it. So we got 34 inches. We need 17. Well, basically we got to do it like this. You got to throw out the 34 inches and the 17, and we got to say, all right, this is at 16 inches. Well, now we just got to measure 16 inches beyond that. So that would be 32 inches. Get ourselves a little pencil here. And we put a little mark at 32 inches. So if we got 16 going this way, 16 going this way, we'll be cutting off, we'll be cutting off 2 inches. Alright, so now we got our measurements. We got our mark here. Let's go ahead and move these, remove these screws from it. We don't want those in the way of the table saw. We'll just take them out, we'll reuse them. Now we're good to go. Now this was glued in, and as you can see, I'm pulling up on it. It's not coming out. So the best thing to do is we're going to go ahead and make this cut first. Cut that off of there, and then we'll use the chisel to cut. Well, we may use the combination of the chisel and the table saw to remove this from the piece we want to keep. So that way we don't mess up anything, and we end up with still a nice finished piece for the side. So let's go to the table saw. Alright, so now we got our table saw set up, got the fence set up and everything. Just got to go ahead and make a couple of cuts real quick. Now we're going to adjust the fence to where it's just inside this. Go ahead and cut off all the excess here, but leaving a little bit there that I can take away with the chisel. So since I don't have an actual woodworking vise, we're going to use this one and put a couple of pieces in here for basically soft jaws. So just a piece of wood on either side just to help keep this from getting all scratched up, if that mattered to you. And now we just take the chisel and go ahead and clean all this excess off of here. We'll have the excess wood, a little bit of the glue. One of the things you need to watch out for is when you get to the edge over here, you have to be careful that it doesn't chip out and tear away the part of the wood that you want to keep. So it may be best to get as close as you can over here and then turn around and go this way so that it's pushing against the wood and you don't have the issue of it tearing out the very end of it. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is actually decide which side is going to face out. This one right here looks the best out of the two, so I'm going to have it facing out. Now we got to pre-drill our screws. So now we just place our piece in where we need it to be. Get a 1/8 drill bit and go ahead and drill our pilot holes. Now the one thing I like to do is go ahead and put a screw in. It's going to hold that one where it needs to be. And then we'll go ahead and do the other one. Alright, so now that we know everything fits, we'll disassemble it real quick, glue it back together, and then screw it back together. Alright, so now we just take a damp sponge and wipe off all the excess glue. Alright, now we just let that dry. Now we can work on the actual most difficult part of this, and that's making the key slots or keyway. Let's see if I can give you an example. So right here is something that has some in it. Of course this is going both ways. I only need something that's basically this right here. You can see that there. The screw would go in the larger part and then slide down into the smaller part, and that would keep it where it needs to be. I'm actually going to use this. This is probably about a 16th of an inch. But I think it's thick enough that by the time I get done making everything, it will be strong enough to hold whatever may be put on the shelf.